Hello and welcome to my craft room. The postman's been, well actually every delivery man has been. This is the February box from Stitch Kit for the Year in Stitches Quilt Club. So this is a subscription box where we're doing, each month we're learning a quilt pattern or technique to make an 18-inch, or I'm working in centimetres actually, so that I think that works at 45 centimetres square. And then, so throughout the year we'll be learning new techniques, creating squares and working towards creating a double bed size quilt. It will be made up of 9 of these squares, and then in the later months of the year we'll be learning how to back them and do the edging and all of that stuff. So we'll end up with a beautiful, unique quilt. And they really will be unique because they put the boxes together. That when you sign up, they send you an email and ask you about your colour preferences and things. So then they pull out the fabrics to suit you. And of course we can also change how we choose to put the patterns and colours together that they put in the box each month. So I have no idea. Let me show you what I did last month. This was with my leftovers. Can you believe it? I also made this cute little bookmark. I'll link to the Stitch Kit playlist so you can have a look if you want. And I made this little this is all the leftovers, this little fold out caddy. Love the fabrics. I love that they're from the now I've forgotten the name of the, here we go, Lewis and Irene Under the Sea collection, which is perfect because I've been doing my underwater world textile collage as well, haven't I? So here's the actual quilt square that I made, and bearing in mind I've never tried to do precise proper quilting before, so I was well chuffed with myself. The instructions were lovely and clear. It's got a bit crumpled in the bag, but yeah. So yeah, and I'll end up with 9 squares like this, but all different patterns and techniques. And they were so generous with the fabrics. Kirsty said she wanted to be generous with the fabrics. So Kirsty's the owner of Stitch Kit. It's Kirsty and Rachel that I communicate with. I think this is more kind of Rachel's brainchild. She's been putting together all of the plans and instructions. Her instructions are brilliant. Yeah, so it's kind of her brainchild, I think, and Kirsty is learning along with us. So yeah, Kirsty said she wanted there to be plenty of fabric so that if we do make mistakes, as you know, we can cut it again and it's fine. But I got lucky. Ended up with all these leftovers. There's still some small scraps in here as well, which I'm going to keep all of my small scraps and then do like a confetti quilt or a scrappy string quilt or something at the end of the year with all of my leftovers, so none of it will be wasted. So yeah, this is the inside of the bag. It's got a pocket as well. It's a really useful bag. It's totally reversible actually, but I prefer this side. And in the box last month I also got this pack of pins and a heat erasable pen, so I'm going to keep them in there as well. This is going to be kind of, I think, going to end up being my ongoing project bag for my quilting stuff. I'm going to keep all of the instructions in a file, I think, so that I can use them again, because they are really good instructions. Rachel did an excellent job of putting them together. It's quite hard to put things on paper sometimes, isn't it? I find it easier to do a video and explain and show, but yeah, she did an excellent job. So that was last month. I've no idea what to expect this month. So do I need to tell you anything else? The price for the subscription is £25 a month, which I think is excellent value, and that includes postage to the UK as well. They will post internationally, but obviously you'll need to pay more for postage, but you could always email them and find out. They're very friendly and helpful. Very excited. We've also we'll be meeting up in person. I'll be going to Stitch Kit HQ later in the year. We have 40 tickets available for that, and they're going to make them available to us arty fartists before everybody else, before they open it to the public. So yeah, I'll tell you more about that at the end of this, but right now I'm itching to get into this box. Shall we have a look? Rip strip, you always get it. They always, all their kits come in these huge boxes which are really sturdy, and Tom and I are working on a way to turn them into a more permanent storage, because you can see, whoops, they're piling up around me. They're so useful and sturdy. There's another little pile here that I've not kind of recycled them because it just seems a shame. So yeah, ideas brewing there. Okay, right, let's rip strip. Let's go in. Right, I'm going to get the box and the tissue out of the way. Oops, a couple of bits fell out. Oops. Right, let's get that out of the way. You can see what a lovely sturdy box that is. I can't just recycle that, can I? Okay, I'm going to take you to the desk now. We'll find out what's in store. I may have been lulled into a false sense of security last month because I know they did start us off with a relatively easy technique. That's called, that one I showed you is called the chained star quilt block. Let's put me up here so I can talk to you. Hello. So I always get the stitch kit sweeties, which I love. Okay, let's have a look. Dear Annie, I hope you are well. Yes, I am, thank you, Rachel. This month the quilt block uses the stitch and flip method. The block is made... Oh, I think I know this. I think I know this one. I don't know. No, let's not talk too soon. The block is made of 9 units. You will make 5 snowballs and 4 flying geese units. We have also included transfers for embellishment. Ooh, how exciting. So, we've got some embroidery needles this time. Their supplies are always such good quality. The boxes are generous, they're good quality, they're great value. When I used it all of last year, I had a Craft of the Month box from them. You can still get the Craft of the Month boxes, and they come at various price points. They cover all different kinds of crafts. I will link to the Stitch Kit website, so you can have a look. If you've got any questions, do ask, or just email Kirsty and Rachel. They're really helpful, really approachable. Yeah, so I opened a different Craft of the Month box every month last year. I wasn't once disappointed. When I was doing those, what I did was make a point of adding up what it would have cost if I'd have bought the supplies separately, and they always came out well over the purchase price of the box. And to think that also included post and packing. Yeah, so I'm very happy. I don't get any commission on this or anything. I always want to point that out. Obviously, they do send me the box, but I don't get. I'm not paid to tell you these are wonderful. I don't get commission or anything. It's just that I think they have a brilliant product, a brilliant service. They work really hard. It's just the two of them, Kirsty and Rachel, and I'm very happy to support them and recommend them to my online friends. I can't close a packet of needles though to save my life. Goodness sake, what is the matter with you women? Right, there we go. So we've got Gutermann polyester thread, lovely thread, Gutermann, and not cheap, in this lovely soft kind of yellow colour. Now we got the really exciting part. Ghost pimples are out. Oh, I've got some more of this fabric. I had this fabric last month. Obviously, it all needs to coordinate and fit in together. So, of course, Rachel's going to make sure that it fits with what I had before. We're going to do some hand embroidery this time with the look of it. So, let's get tissue out of the way because, yeah, it's going to be noisy. Oh, thread conditioner. Oh, vanilla. Never seen this before. It's a nice little extra. Oh, it smells delicious. So this is like for waxing your thread to make it easier to make it less likely to knot and things when you're embroidering. That's a lovely idea, and it smells delish. Never seen it in little pots like that before. It's interesting. We've got some embroidery threads to coordinate with the fabrics. Stranded cotton, lovely colours. Don't forget my sweeties. We've got some of this Under the Sea fabric that I had last month. So this is Under the Sea collection. This one's called Rock Pool. I do love this. I do love it. It's really fun. I love the colours in it. Yeah. Very nice. So we've got quite a large piece of that. I think last month we had we had a ½ metre piece of this and then 3 other fabrics. We have fat quarters. Ended up with so much fabric left over. Okay. This one's gorgeous as well. Now, is it part of the same collection? It certainly goes together really well. Yes, it looks like it's the same collection. Beautiful. Here's a transfer. Now with these transfers, these are iron-on transfers, I think. You can use these several times over. I didn't realise that till relatively recently. I'm sure I've used some in the past and then thrown them away. And here's... this isn't in the Under the Sea collection, but obviously coordinates very well in terms of colour and the fact that it's got the waves. Beautiful feeling. These are all 100% cotton fabrics. You can tell by the feel. Lovely quality. Always such lovely quality supplies in his boxes. So this is a... I never know if you say Makova or Makawa. Anyway, you know. You'll know that. You'll know that. If you're a quilter, you'll know this. We used to sell so much of this stuff in the craft shop I used to work in. And this is called... It's number 082 High Tide Waves. 100% cotton. I always love using all the... I've kept all the selvages from last month's fabrics, because when I do my use up the scraps project at the end of the year, I want to use them as well. And then we've got this plain but not quite plain because it's got a lovely kind of motley pattern in it. Give it an interesting textury look. The Henley Studio. Oh, it's called something texture. So this is a skinny quarter this time, a normal just a quarter. This is a quarter. So 3 fat quarters and a normal quarter. And then here are the instructions. So this is what we're going to make. This is representing the transfer in the middle. So I've got this heart shape, and other people might get different things. That's a nice thing, you know. Oh, it's another transfer there as well. Oh, lovely. Other people might get different transfers, so okay. So I think this is the flying geese, isn't it? This month the block uses the stitch and flip technique. It's a quick way to be able to add a triangle to the edge of a rectangle or square to create a unit. With this technique you don't have to cut your fabric on the bias. When using the stitch and flip technique, careful cutting is very important, as well as using the correct seam allowance to ensure the unit finishes at the correct size. Rachel did mention to me that because she must notice that I guess that I did last month, I converted and worked in centimetres, but she did say to me it's really important that you cut this really accurately, so she's included centimetres this time, which is brilliant, so I haven't got to bother trying to work it out in my head. While making this block you'll need to trim off a lot of pairs of triangles. If you pin them together before you trim them, you can stitch them together to make a small half square triangles. These could be used to make a block for a different project or start a cushion to match your quilt. Oh, great idea. I love these top tips. Okay, so we've got fabrics A, B, C and D. Sewers will have different fabrics depending on their colour choices, so it's not been possible to display the actual fabrics. Fabrics A, C and D are interchangeable, but fabric B is cut differently, so this must remain as supplied. So A is a fat quarter, C and D both fat quarters, B is 8 inches or 20.3 centimetres by the width of the fabric. So that was that one, what I thought was a skinny quarter. That was this one, wasn't it? Yeah. So this one, I'm going to jot this down now. B is, for me, is that yellow, so I'm just going to make a note of that now. And the others can be used interchangeably. So I need to make 5 snowball units, 16 flying geese units, and 8 border strips. Well, it's actually the next day now. Turned out, so before I could get back to this, Tom arrived ready to start setting up for the live, which we had last night, and I had planned a long lazy Sunday. I'm still sat here, I've got my PJs on, actually, jumper over the top, PJs on, a long lazy Sunday, getting started on this month's quilt block. However, I've spent the whole morning emailing about prizes and people coming to the Arty Farty Craft Day at Stitch HQ in September, so that's all very exciting as well. So yeah, there's so much else going on. It's now just coming up to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I haven't started yet, but I did get time to have a little look and get the measure of this. And one of my issues is going to be that because I made last month's block, have I got that? Because I made last month's block, the chained star, I converted to centimetres, and this ended up exactly, well, I was going to say exactly 45 centimetres. It's fractionally over 45 centimetres. It's smaller than this one will end up. Now, I would advise that the easiest way, especially if you're a beginner like me, is just to work in inches and be done with. I was trying to stick with centimetres because my quilting ruler is centimetres. And I just have started to think that way these days. But it's probably easiest to follow the original instructions, really. I had a look online to see if there's any help with kind of converting it. Nobody is quilting in centimetres. Everybody's talking about inches. It's really strange. And the conversions that Rachel is given are helpful, but they're kind of fractions of centimetres, which make it a little bit awkward. So I took a little bit of time to think it all through and work out how I can convert this to easy to manage centimetre measurements and still end up with my finished block measuring 45 centimetres, or it's pretty near to 18 inches. If you're working in inches and you're following the pattern, it should end up at 18.5 inches. That's giving you 1/4 centimetre seam either side for when you attach your sashing, and you'll end up with 18 inch squares. Mine are going to be a little bit smaller. Doesn't matter, but I do need to be consistent. So because I started at this size last month, I need to do that. So you'll see me doing a little bit different measurements from what you'll be doing if you're following the instructions properly, but the method is the important bit. I will explain what I'm doing in centimetres in case anybody else did the same thing as me and would prefer to work in centimetres. I would advise just stick to the instructions and make it easy on yourself. I always like to make things difficult for myself. Okay, so I've got my machine set up here for a change on this little table. I don't know how well it's going to work, but it should make it easier rather than have to keep going over there. I've got my iron on this side of me, my little crafting iron. Rachel does advise iron the fabric before you cut so you get it really accurate, because it is important to be accurate with this. So let's go back to the desk now. So here's another look at what we're going to be doing. So this is a block made up of 5 snowball blocks, or units. We call these 9. It's basically 9 units made into one block. So there are 5 snowball units and 5 flying geese units. And these are both using the stitch and flip technique. So the first thing I did was decide which fabric I was going to use where. Looking at this and deciding, what I thought would look nice. You'll have in your kit, if you've got the kit, you'll have one piece. You'll have 3 fat quarters, and you'll have this one piece that's kind of long and narrow. This is the one that you can't change. This has to be fabric B. So I've written there yellow, so I don't forget which one that is. And then I've decided, looking at these, where it's pale blue, I'm going to use this. Where it's dark blue, I'm going to use this. And where it's purple, I'm going to use this. But whatever you've got, you decide which you want to use where, what you think will look nice. They do recommend making a practice one out of fabric scraps first. I would have done that, except I've taken so long messing about this morning. And also working out how to about the centimetres that I don't have time for that now. So I'm just going to jump in and fingers crossed. So other things I've got here is the thread that they sent, the 2 different embroidery transfers which I can use multiple times, pins from last time that I put in the last month's box, needles they put in for this time. These are nice embroidery needles, just the kind I like. Looking forward to trying this thread conditioner. Embroidery threads. I've also got my cutting wheel and some spare blades. I think it might need a spare blade, a new blade rather, and my quilting ruler. I think they do these, and a cutting mat. I've got my manky old cutting mat under here. They do those 3 items as a special pack. So if you're just starting up and you haven't got these, you can, I would say email them. I don't know if you can just order them on the site or if you have to talk to them by email, and they would probably put them in with your first box. And I can't, off the top of my head, I can't remember how much that set is, but well worth having. Mine is only in centimetres, which is partly why I had to stick with centimetres. Okay, let's put them there out the way for a minute. I've got my heat erasable pen. I've got this dark one because this red won't really show up very well on here, I don't think. Not on the camera anyway. So, scoot these ones to one side for a minute. My first thing is to iron my fabrics and then cut my pieces. So for my Snowball units, I'm going to want fabrics A and B. So B is this one, A, I'm going to use this one. So let's put these other ones out of the way for a minute. I'm going to get these ironed, and I'm going to just cut my pieces. I don't need to watch me faffing around cutting the pieces. I'm by no means an expert cutter. I have been told though in the comments, thank you very much everybody, that I must be a bit more careful with my cutting technique and make sure I'm always cutting away from me, and that I cover the blade when I'm in between uses rather than leaving it like that, which is what I was doing, because they can be very, very sharp. I think this one is a bit on the blunt side at the moment, so I might have to change it. So yeah, I'm going to get these two ironed and cut the pieces that I need. Fabric B, for each unit, I'm going to need a 6.5 inch or 16.5 centimetre I'm going to do square out of fabric B. And for each unit I'm going to need 4 2.5 inch, or I'm going to do 6.5 centimetres squares out of fabric A. I'm using this as my fabric A. So to be absolutely precise and come out exactly the same size, Rachel's given really, really accurate, but I don't think I can measure 16.51 centimetres, so I'm going 16.5, 16.5, and I probably could do 16.3. This ruler isn't going to want to do that, so what I've done is rounded that up slightly, because looking at this method I don't think it's going to matter at all that the squares are slightly bigger. They will end up, because of the way it works, it will still end up the size of the base square that I'm cutting out of fabric A. So these will be fractionally bigger, these squares, but that isn't going to matter. So yeah, I'm going to be cutting a 16.5 centimetre square out of this one and 4 6.5 centimetre squares out of this one for each of the 5 units we're going to make. If you're working in inches, which is probably wise, you want to cut a 6.5 inch square out of fabric B and 4 2.5 inch squares out of fabric A. Right, so I'm going to get that done. I'm going to iron the fabrics first, because as Rachel says, you'll cut more accurately if you haven't got creases in the way, and get these cut, and then I'll come back. I'm very excited to start this. I just wish I could have, I intended to have started 4 hours ago and be editing the video by now. Best laid plans and all that. Okay, see you in a minute. All's well so far. So I've got my 6.5 inch, or as I'm doing, 16.5 centimetre square. Measured 3 times, cut once. And then I've got 4 of these 2.5 inch, or I'm doing 6.5 centimetre squares. So now we're going to put them right sides together, and these 4 smaller squares are going to be joined to the larger square like this. And this is where the stitch and flip thing comes in, which is really fun. So what we need to do first is draw a line for our stitching. I'm going to use a heat erasable pen, but actually this isn't going to show, so it probably don't really matter what you use, to be honest. So I'm going to start off by drawing, and I'm going to draw it on here. I could just draw it across these squares here. Actually, I could even help myself by lining up on my cutting board there. So I'm just going to draw a line point to point. Be really careful, the fabric can kind of twist up when you're trying to do this. Sort of hold it down, go gently with it, don't sort of push too hard or you lose your accuracy. Okay, I haven't been that wonderful there, have I? Look, point to point. Let's hope that's all right. So I'm going to do that with all of these squares. I know it always sounds like an excuse, but it is more difficult when you can't, when you're trying to film like this, you can't get your head over. What I would advise if you're doing this at home is get your head over it, make sure you've got your lines as accurate as you can to give you the best results. But you don't want to be watching the top of my head, do you? Put these together, lining up the edges and corners really accurately, making sure that the I don't want to line them up with the line going that way. I want the lines to go cut across the corners, kind of thing. Just one pin in to hold this in place. I don't want to put it too near the line because I don't want to sort of buckle it up and not get such a good neat line. If I do them like this, I shouldn't even have to take them out while I'm machining. I might even be tempted to help myself along a little bit with a tiny dab of glue just for this first time, because that won't this kind of glue stick will wash out anyway, and it only needs to be the tiniest bit just to hold it, just to give me a fighting chance here of getting the most accurate stitch line, because I am a complete newbie. We are learning together. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is stitch along these lines, but I'm going to do it in such a way that because there's a thickness to the line, isn't there, and there's a thickness to the seam, so when you flip this back in a minute, if you've stitched slightly to this side of the line, your corner isn't going to meet up nicely here. It's not going to make a nice square finished result. What you want to do, top tip from Rachel, is to stitch just to the outside of the line nearest to the corners. I'll show you what I mean in a minute when I've done it. Okay, I'm going to stitch along those lines and then I'll come back and show you the next bit. Okay, well, I have just realised that I recorded the rest of what I've already done without the audio working, without the mic working, so yeah, I'm going to have done a voiceover up to this point, but I'm back to myself now. And I finished these 5 snowball pieces. So there's the one with the embroidery, and then 4 more, and I've trimmed them all to be the same size, and they came out fractionally under. I was aiming for 16.5 centimetres. Oh, it's that's pretty much exactly 6.5 inches. They've come out just a tad under that, 2 millimetres, 1/16 of an inch under that 6.5. But that's fine because I'm aiming for a smaller overall size because I ended up smaller last time. So if you've been sensible and not like me and followed the original inch instructions, you should be ending up with a 6.5 inch square. So that's those done. Now it's time to move on to the flying geese. And I'm going to stop recording again and get the pieces cut, I think, before I start. First thing I need to do is iron my fabrics. It's for the light blue I'm going to be using this, the same as I've used here, this fabric, and for the dark blue I'm going to be using the waves. So yes, A and D again. So the first thing I need to do is cut my fabrics again. So for each one I'm going to need 4 of these for this block, 4 of these flying geese units. So the first thing I need to do is cut. For each unit I need 1 rectangle, 3.5 inches, I'm going to go for 9 centimetres. By 2 inches I'm going to go for 5 centimetres. And 2 squares of 2 inches, or I'm going for 5 centimetres. So I may as well cut all 4, enough for all 4 at the same time. So I'm going to iron my fabrics, get those pieces cut, and then I'll be back to show you what I'm up to. Right, I've got all my pieces cut, and I did have a casualty. It wasn't too bad, but yeah. Just goes to show, doesn't it? All those warnings everybody gave me. Mind you, funny enough, I did it as I was cutting away from me. So clearly it's not foolproof, but yeah. What I did was I cut 2 inch, or I'm doing 5 centimetre strips first, and then I cut again into 2 inch or 5 centimetre squares from that. So for each little unit of flying geese I need to make 4 of these individual units, and then all 4 of them to go together to make that kind of strip down there. So I need 4 of the larger rectangles, which will become these triangles, and I need 8 of the darker squares, which will become these triangles. So what I've done is sort them into squares. So I've got my 4 rectangles and my 8 squares. It looks like I'm going to have quite a lot of leftovers again. Yeah, I'm going to have plenty to make a couple of leftover projects, and I really would like to use those little triangles too. The process for the flying geese is you put your rectangle down, and then you put these get stitched on diagonally again, and then flipped back. It's going to make sense to do one first and then the other because they're gonna overlap slightly. Diagonal line. I'm sure if you're more experienced machine sewing than I am, you probably don't even need to do that line. I think there are a guide you can get that for diagonal stitching actually, but I haven't got one anyway. So I'm going to stitch them together like that. I suppose I ought to put a couple of pins in to be on the safe side. So I'm just going to again do one with you, and then I was about to do that wrong, wasn't I? Wait a minute, it's got to be that way. The diagonal line's got to go across that way to cut off the corner. That was very nearly a daft mistake. And again I'm going to stitch just slightly to one side of the line, on the side of the line closest to the corner. So So let's put my pin here, and then I'm going to stitch across there. I think if I do it like that, I can manage to do it without even taking the pin out. I could try clips. I wonder if clips would be better. Let's try clips this time, and then I'll know, won't I? So I might just put one there and one there, and hopefully I won't even need to move them as I sew through. Okay, so I'm going to stitch down my line now. Right, I've finished making these 4 little units. They're not perfect, you know, these aren't all lined up all down there. I've not done a great job with that. I think I'd like to try this whole method again. I've got plenty of scrap fabric. I could definitely try it again. It took me a little while to realise that I should have put this fabric the same way each time, but I don't think it's going to bother me enough to worry about it. They're not going to be right next to each other anyway. So I've cut these down to these should now come down to 16.5 centimetres or 6.5 inches. That way I've made mine a little smaller because I want to end up with that slightly smaller overall to match the block that I did last time. But that's just me. I would definitely strongly advocate just sticking to the instructions and stick with the inches to make it easy, especially if you're a beginner like I am. But yeah, overall I'm really pleased with that. I've never tried to do anything like this before, so yeah, I'm well chuffed. That's good enough for me. So I've got those 4, I've trimmed them all down to the same size, and then I've cut 8 out of this last fabric, the one that's shown purple in the which one is this? Yeah, it's fabric C. So So I've chosen this one for Fabric C, but obviously everybody's going to be different. You might have completely different fabrics in your box, and also you might choose, even if you've got the same fabrics as me, you might choose to arrange yours differently. So now what I need to do is put one of these strips either side of each of the Flying Geese units, and that will be my finished little block, and then they'll go together with these. That's going to look very cute. They're different, apart from this one, they're different fabrics than what I had last month, but obviously coordinating really well. I've pressed all the seams that way, so let's take this to the machine this way and run it through in that direction. I wouldn't want to, if I put it that way, then the machine, as it goes through the machine, it might mess those seams up. I've found that's happened to me before, so mark myself a little guideline for my seam, because I'm finding that's helping me a lot. Okay, just had to start this again because my microphone cut out. Oh God, so I'm going to need a new microphone. It keeps cutting out on me. Anyway, I think it's working now. I think this video maybe is going to be peppered with voiceovers. Anyway, so here is, oh, it's upside down. Here is my finished block. Very, very happy with it. It's not perfect. When you look closely, it's not perfect. I'm pleased with how well these corners have come together using that nesting technique. Very, very happy with that. And yeah, I love the overall look of it. I'll need to bring it up to the camera to show you, to give you the full effect of it. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely, it's not perfect, you know. This isn't all lined up perfectly down here, is it? But for me, that's not going to bother me, and I will definitely practice more and get better at it. That's the thing with anything like this, isn't it? So let me just bring it up to the big camera just to. I love this. I love this block. I think it's really effective. And of course, what we don't get, because we're doing a different one every month, which I think is going to look fab at the end, it'll make for a really interesting quilt. And it's going to be just so much fun to learn a different one every month. But what we won't get is the effect it has, the impact it has when you repeat this block over a whole quilt. You know, and I can imagine how amazing this one would look. I'm just so chuffed that I can manage to do it. Real quilters, look away now, because you know, undoubtedly you can there are lots of imperfections there, but I think the overall impact of it is really good. I love the colour combo. I love the fabrics that Rachel picked out. They suit me very, very well. and I'm just really chuffing myself. And yeah, I think you can see how effective it's going to be as a whole quilt. I just think, yeah, I'm really enjoying myself with this. I'm just going to pick up these scraps I've thrown all over the floor now. I've got lots of leftovers again. Let me carefully bring this over. So these are the larger pieces. Still loads left of that one, and I do love it. I mean, again, enough there to do something, a sizable project, a bag or something with that. I'll have a bit of a think. Even bigger piece of that one left. Smaller piece of the yellow, and some of this starfish one, which I love. I think that's one of my favourites so far, actually. I really love that. Then I've got some strips and some smaller scraps, and a whole stack of these triangles. These are the bigger ones that came off the Snowball blocks, and I think those are big enough to handle that I could have a go at doing some half square. Are they called half square triangles? I can't remember what they're called now. Yes, half square triangles. I've just checked back to the instructions. I could make some small half square triangles out of these. Then I've got these smaller triangles which came off the Flying Geese ones, and I think these are a bit too small, these ones, to be stitching together into tiny half square triangles. I might try it and just see, but I did think I could do something similar to what I did last month, where I just appliqued them with machine zigzag stitch onto a piece of wadding or batting. That might be a really good way to use these smaller triangles. I think what I'll try and do is come up with a couple of projects, one triangle related project, another one using these bigger pieces. The smaller scraps and strips I think I'll keep with the other scraps from last month, and they'll go in my scrap bag, because what I'm aiming to do at the end of the year is make all of the scraps into one big scrappy quilt project. So what I've still got to do is my embroidery. I could put more embroideries in the other squares, but I don't think I'm going to. I'm just going to stitch this one in the centre. I can use these over and over again, so I'll keep these anyway. I've got the needles there, nice needles they sent, and this thread conditioner to try, this lovely vanilla scented thread conditioner. I'll probably come back and do that. It might be a whip and waffle Wednesday job doing that. Yeah, so I'm just really pleased with that. It's given me so much satisfaction learning these techniques. I think I've always thought I'd quite like to try some proper quilting, and I've always been put off because I thought it would be a bit too precise and too much measuring and cutting for me. It's definitely helped me to get the hang of using this thing. It's made no end of difference, and I don't know how I would manage it without that quilting ruler, so I'm glad I had that. But yeah, just following the instructions, it's really not that hard. If I can do it, you can do it. If I can do it, anyone can, basically. Now, I don't know if I mentioned at the beginning of the video, so I'm going to say it again now, just in case. Don't forget that if you want to join us for the Arty Farty Craft Day at Stitch Kit HQ, which is in Worcester here in the UK, on September the 25th, tickets are now available. So for 2 weeks only, they're exclusively available to us arty fartists. And what you will need to do is email Kirsty and Rachel. I've put the email in the description box, and I'll put it here as well. It's kirsty@stitchkit.co.uk. Put ARTCRFT, Artcraft. I'll put that here as well in the subject line of your email. It's not available, you can't go and order it on the website yet, so you'll need to email them. From the 20th of February onwards, it will be going on the website, and it will be open to on general sale. If there are any places left, there are only 40 in-person places. I've said about all the details before, briefly in a nutshell, because there isn't a website you can go to and look at it yet. The main activity is Manx quilting. There are options for joining in at home if you don't want to come in person, which I'll tell you about in a minute. If you come along in person, the price is $69.99. That is your kit with everything you need to make 4 Manx quilt blocks and backing and stuff to make a cushion cover. Obviously you get tutorials and stuff will be available for you to carry on in your own time at home as well, because if you're anything like me, you don't get it all finished on the day. So the price also includes a 2-course lunch. They have a lovely chef there at their community centre, and you can let them know if you've got any dietary requirements. Also teas and coffees all through the day. There's also an optional extra box, a pick and mix craft box. It will have 4 crafts in it. They'll be exclusive to that box. You won't be able to get them any other way. I've already seen what Rachel is putting together for them, and I think you're going to love them. To have both boxes and come along in person and have your lunch and everything would be £109.99 altogether. If you can't join us in person, or you'd rather just work from home, you can just have the boxes delivered to you instead. To have just the Manx quilting box, and I should have said earlier on, Manx quilting that's partly what made me think of it. There really isn't any measuring with Manx quilting. Traditionally, it's just done based on the measurements of your own hand, and there's a lot of snip. The way that traditionally it would be snip and rip, and so it's very kind of beginner friendly. It's all done with just a simple hand running stitch, and the stitches don't even show at the end. It's such a lovely method. I love it. I've done quite a bit of it before, and it's one of my favourite quilting methods. So yeah, if you want to join us from home, you can have the boxes delivered to you. The Manx quilting box alone is £45, and that includes delivery if you're within the UK. They will post internationally, but obviously you'll have to pay more for postage. You can always email them to find out how much that would be. If you want both boxes delivered at home, that would be £80 altogether for both boxes. Again, if you're in the UK, that would include your postage. If you're overseas, by the way, a question came up in the initial kind of survey that we did. Would you, if you have both boxes, would they both be able to be packed into one box to save on the postage? And the answer is yes, they could pack everything into one box. If you're having the boxes delivered to your home, the last date for ordering them will be the 3rd of August if they're going internationally, and the 10th of August if you're in the UK. And that should ensure that you get the boxes in time to join in with the event. We want to make everybody feel included, even if you're not there with us in person. So Tom's going to come with me, thank goodness, to all the techie stuff. We'll be doing live streams throughout the day, and we'll also be doing live stream premieres with tutorials, step-by-step tutorials paced out through the day, and those will be available indefinitely so that you can work at your own pace and go back and refer to them later if you want to. There's also going to be a little Bertie bonus. There's going to be a number in every box, and there'll be a special live draw at the end of the day. Another bonus for people who are coming in person is that I will be bringing the finished bonkers quilt with me, so you'll be able to get a look at that in person, which is I can't wait to show it off to people. If you're coming in person, the next day, if you're staying over, Tom and I will definitely be staying over. We'll have to stay over the night before to get ready, and and we'll stay over the next day as well. There's going to be an option of a city tour, a free tour of the city of Worcester, which is a beautiful historical city, and lots to see and do there. So that's going to be going on from 10 in the morning till 12 noon. I think they're saying that'll be all free of charge, and then we can go back in the afternoon from 2 till 4 to Stitch Kit HQ. It's the Rainbow Hill Community Centre there. Have a craft and natter session. Again, that'll be all free of charge. We could carry on working on what we were working on the day before, or bring anything you like along to work on, or just do a lot of chatting, which will probably be me. The only charge there involved would be teas and coffees. I think they charge a nominal, I think it's £1 for tea and coffee. I think that's it. If you've got any questions, put them in the comments. I'm caught up with my comments now, so I'm checking them every day again, thank goodness. Or managing to answer. I always used to check them, but answering them every day. So please do ask if you've got any questions, and you can always email Kirsty and Rachel as well. They're really helpful, lovely ladies. So yeah, very, very excited about that. Apparently the tickets are going fast already. We only announced it first over the weekend, and already quite a lot of them have gone. So if you do want a place, but the boxes you'll be able to order for some time, but probably the sooner you get your order in, the better. But there are only 40 places. In-person places are quite limited, so yeah, if you're up for one of them, don't waste any time. You can pay in 2 installments, by the way. When you email them, this is important, I forgot to say, when you email them, remember to put your this in the subject line, but also within the email say whether you want to come in person or you want the boxes sent to your home. If you're coming in person, you collect the boxes when you arrive. You also need to say, do you want the Manx box only, or do you want the pick and mix box as well? So yeah, Manx box or both boxes. I guess you could choose to have just the pick and mix box as well, but the main activity if you're coming in person for the day will be Manx quilting. You also need to say if you want to pay all at once or in 2 installments, and then once you've done that, they'll invoice you, and then you can pay the invoice, and then your place is secured. And then once they've done that, they send you a questionnaire with a few other questions they need to know, like dietary requirements and stuff like that. I think that's all I need to say about it, but yeah, as I say, do ask if you've got any more questions. Okay, so that's it. That's all from me for now. Thank you very much for joining me. I'll see you again really soon. Bye. What a waffle.